All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Juices Loose number 78. I'm your host, Terminator Juice, and we got a little bit of just one new guest and two missing guests. We had a couple people last minute couldn't make it, so it's going to look a little different. So let's start off with the Insane Game Freak. What's up, man?
Yo, what's up, guys? Just ready to talk about some video games.
And then we have a first timer on the Juices Loose, even though it feels like you've been on because I've done numerous podcasts with them. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Nice that to feel good here. The guy with the smooth moves and groovy tunes, always in a damn good gaming mood.
All right, man. Good to have you on the Juices Loose. And as usual, when I have new people on, I usually have them give. I mean, they're usually a little bit more new to like this audience. I think most people are familiar with Dr. Feelgood here, but instead of like giving your history like I'd normally do, just let us know what you've been gaming on, in the last, let's say, since the holiday season, just what types of games you've been playing.
Oh, well, that's easy, man. Splatoon and Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Well,
I can honestly say that that's probably about 300 hours right there, to be completely honest. I think I already have about 150 hours in Xenoblade Chronicles X. I hadn't played much in the last couple of weeks because I've been kind of busy and starting up my the OGL podcast. But
mhm.
other than that, yeah, those two games have absorbed my life. I put in a few hours in Splinter Cell Blacklist, which I already beat, but it was a fun game, and recording some retro gameplay for like Streets of Rage 2. But yeah, those two games have wiped me out.
All right, so I'm guessing you beat X. I mean, I'm at 140 hours. I beat it after about 100.
No, actually, no. Although I could have, I decided not to because I think right after I got to chapter 5, I spent like maybe a good 30 or 40 hours on just the submissions alone, like the side missions, the heart to heart with the main characters and a few others, and I even leveled up like I think a total of 8 side characters that you can have in your party. I got
Hmm.
8 of them up to like above level 40 or 50 with me. So yeah, I spent like 40, 50 hours doing that seriously. And I have finished chapter 9 already. After I got that, I spent about 20, 30 hours flying around. I can tell you, man, it's liberating. But that's about it. I probably have enough, skill and augments and stuff to go through the rest of the game. I have like, I think 5 scales and like $3 million. So yeah, but I just hadn't done it yet. I'm trying to do as many missions as I can.
I mean, you beat the game out. You can still do all the missions. It doesn't stop. It's not. I don't know if you heard where we described it. It's not like you save right before you beat it, and the next time you play, it's like before you beat it, like the save file. This actually life continues on Mira afterwards, and all your everything stays, so you can just continue to play.
Yeah,
Um,
but I just have this Shadow Fox mentality where I want to be able to beat most of the fights in the game on foot. So,
All right, good luck, sir.
no, but I mean, there's a video I saw where somebody beat an Eternal Milosaur level 71 on foot with just one character. So not
yeah,
even multiple characters.
you gotta have arts, which you acquire by beating tyrants, which you beat by getting the level 60 skulls that you build out of raw materials that you have to use your reward tickets for. So you
Yeah,
can't
and
just be that good. You gotta be taking down tyrants and then get these arts that let you dodge and do
yeah,
awesome combos.
yeah. I have like Ghost Factory and Ghost Walker already.
Do
I
you? I
have
don't.
Yeah, I already have those
Where do
too.
you get those?
actually like you
You
just
can
simply
use.
unlock them. Like once you go like I've actually unlocked almost every single class in order. They don't. I have like the bottom 4 at the third bracket I haven't done yet. No, I'm sorry, it's about 3. But the rest of them I've already got like level 10.
What
Yeah,
do you know?
I've done a good chunk of them level 10 too, because I
What
already have Ghost
weapon?
Factory.
What weapons do you need though to have on for those arts?
I think with Ghost Walker, I think you have to have dual guns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's the same class as Alma's
So,
class.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
basically, I think Elma can only use Ghost Factory from the way they have her locked down. You can't change the other 2 characters. But what I do know is that once you master a class like level 10, you can bring that class's weapon or like primary weapon to any class.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I actually chose her class, and I chose the dual guns. And you don't even need the dual sword, but the dual guns, you got access to Ghostwalker immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Have
had
to
that
look.
for like half the game,
I'll
actually.
have to mess. Went through that class super fast and moved on. I'm trying to get through all the classes. I actually hung on the assault rifle and the longsword, whatever. I think it's called longsword, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
stayed
my.
on that class. I probably could have leveled up two other classes to 10. How long I stayed on that class with those
Yeah,
weapons.
yeah, but you know what? You are right to do that because having the dual guns and the long sword, they have the best combination of arts. They really do.
Yeah, they
You,
do.
you can keep your overdrive going almost infinitely, and you combine Ghostwalker with that basically dodges attacks for like 10, 20 seconds,
Hmm.
and you combine that with like the rising sword. Basically, man, you're just replenishing your TP every attack, and you get all your health back. So if you keep doing that, yeah, you just need the long sword and the dual guns. You can't really be touched.
Yeah, I definitely was taking the wrong strategy. I was thinking I need to build up at least two of these level 60 skulls with like the 30, 40 thousand hit points and go that route, but I think I need to rethink my strategies. So just real quick, I mean, I played probably 5, 6 hours since last week, and I'm just trying to get affinity built up with like right now. It's me, my character who's maxed out except for the class. I got two more classes to get to 10, and I got Celica, Alexa, and I forget the last character, or Murderous. And I'm just trying to get affinity built up because they all have affinity missions that I can't access yet. So I was just kind of going through. I cleared like every mission on the mission board below like a 3 star and below that I found a couple more the other day where it's like equip this weapon and go take out 6 of these creatures, those types of mini like pretty simple missions. And the only one, there's a lot left that are tyrant related. So but I'm still enjoying the game. I love flying around. I'm taking pictures, posting them on Twitter, Miiverse. Like I'm just still in awe of the game, and it's just amazing. It's just if Bayonetta and Corrin didn't release, I'd probably played X another 5, 6 hours this last week. So yeah, I didn't have a lot to update on. I have actually started using like switching the characters, so I'm actually controlling like Elma and Celica, and it doesn't change the game at all. It's just something cool to mix it up a little bit. So that's basically all I've been doing. Terrell, I know you didn't get a whole lot in because I kept bugging you to play Smash. So
I got some free time in there. Actually, I've been doing something pretty similar. I've been mainly because I'm not technically at level 60 yet. I'm at like level 59. So I was doing a little bit of grinding, and then I said, well, I need to level up some of these because I think I've done all of Irina's affinity missions. So I was like, all right, cool. And then some more extra ones opened up after you beat the game. So I did one of Lens, and then I decided, well, I have about 3 characters I feel like I need to get some affinity up with. And so I've been working on Fog, I've been working on Hope, and I've been working on Murderous. I've already done like the first 2 or 3 affinity missions for Hope and Fog, but I still need to do like the first one for Murderous, and because it requires like 2 hearts worth of affinity, I'm sitting there like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Oh my god.
it takes forever to fill up affinity, man. When you're paying
Yeah.
attention.
And so I've been doing that. I did a few sock missions and a few. I see. It's kind of weird to say missions because what I'm really saying is like there's like ongoing quests. They're just split up by different missions. Like the Nopon one for the quest for the legendary sword. That mission line takes so long because there's like
Yeah.
5 or 6 or 7 of them.
But I will tell you this about the affinity: it's not as hard as you think it is. What helps along is knowing how the character you want to build up, knowing their personality. Like for example, I realized that like Lynn likes you to brag a lot.
Hmm.
Like whenever you get in some type of conversation and they say, what do you think about this? Oh, I think I'm the shit. It's like, oh well, it was hard, but we got it done. Even though you probably did murder that boss in like 30 seconds. If you brag, Lynn, she'll get a heart.
Same
If
with
you don't
Arena.
brag, if you don't brag, then like Elma gives you something. Like Elma's very reserved and very humbled. So if you know that character's personality, you just got to choose the appropriate answers, and they get hearts off of that. So you can get like 3 or 4 hearts in a single conversation if you know how to answer it.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the biggest
fair.
problem is when you get to the later characters, like because for example, like Hope is more of the shy type, so I treat her the same way I treat Elma. But when you get to someone like Murderous, I'm like, well, I don't know which way to go because Murder seems to be a weird influx of both.
Yeah. What was I was gonna say? Oh, Arena's the same with that. But that works great when you got a bunch of side missions and missions that have dialogue. But when you're running out of those types of missions and it's all like go kill this many creatures, go fight this tyrant, there is no dialogue. So that's why I'm having trouble building up affinity now that because I stuck with Elma and Lynn, and then I think I had who was my main Hope, Alexa, and Celica. Like I ran with them consistently until about ready to beat the game, and I was like, then I switched to Arena, and so a lot of characters missed out on some affinity. And Lynn and Elma obviously maxed out halfway through the game, but I kept using them because of all the missions that required them. So I kept using Lynn and Elma, but they were maxed out like probably 60, 70 hours in the game. I had their affinity maxed out. So
But don't you get like affinity points for also like when they level up every time?
Yeah,
minimal.
yeah, they're very minimal, but like that's the one that I kind of wish the game made you switch out your characters more often because the game
Hmm.
doesn't
That's
really
true.
because the game just kind of makes you just do Lynn and Elma the
Yeah,
entire time.
because it's like this
And
affinity mission, restricted members, Arena, and whatever, whoever,
Everybody
required
you focus
members,
on,
Lynn and
basically.
Elma, and I'm like, I'm trying to build affinity with other characters, but I have to have Lynn and Elma all
And
the
I
time.
have a, I have a guess why, and it's partially just due to the fact that they probably didn't have any cutscenes in the game to be featured for all the other side characters, which is why you have characters like freaking Elle and Doug, who I've barely touched. I think I barely touched Doug and like half of the other male characters you get, just because you don't really need to, and half of them you just run across randomly,
Hmm.
and it only really, and then plus that you have to have some. And for me, I always pick the characters I was interested in. And half the characters I'm not gonna say aren't interesting, but you can already tell where half of their storylines are going, and there's too many side characters for how short the main story quests are. Because the main story quests may seem like they're long, but half the time you're spending in those quests, you're spending trying to get the requirements to do the quest in the first place.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
the
true.
story missions themselves are pretty short.
I would tell you this. I forget his name, but the guy with the glasses that stuck up
HB.
past it.
Yeah, HB.
Yeah, he was like the like so where I'm in the game, he's like the last person that I wanted to like level up. But as I said, I made sure I went back and took like all those characters from like level 14 up to like level 45 or 50. It only took like maybe an hour and a half to do it, but for each one. But yeah, I just said, yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this. And I think like all those characters have at least 2 or 3 affinity hearts for, without even doing many of their missions.
Yeah, like I said, early on it was easier to build up, and then now it's becoming a
Yeah,
challenge
like
to.
like if I had to give any tips for those who know going in that they're going to be trying to do affinity missions with everybody, constantly switch out your characters when you can, because my God, some of these later characters are gonna be a pain in the ass. Like I'm not looking forward to HB at all because HB probably will end up being the last character I do. He's not a bad character, especially when you kind of do his first Infinity mission. You kind of see he's not really a dick. He just has like a dickish personality, but the personal bias is gonna set in for like all of them. So you need to go and pick the ones and consider you can beat the game without doing like half of them. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no intentions of doing Fog and his brothers, getting them up to that Affinity 3 to get that final Affinity mission with them.
Well, Fog isn't the problem. My problem is his brother because I gotta do both of them. I'm like, I don't really wanna.
Nah, I
I
mean,
don't. I like Fog enough. I don't know. I don't care. See if I like Fry enough to justify that.
yeah, they needed to make the Affinity maybe 10, 15% easier to get because there's no way you could get Affinity on all those characters in the time it takes you to beat the game the first time. Like you
Well,
have to.
I don't think they expected you to do
Yeah,
that.
but it's like I have no interest in going back, and I have like L. I have like maybe a heart affinity. Nagant. What is his name? Nagi? No, what's
Oh yeah, Nagi. I've yet
Yeah,
to
I
unlock
have
him.
zero affinity with him. Zero.
I have yet to unlock him. I haven't
Oh,
unlocked him
really?
or what's the other girl's name? Mia. I
Yeah,
haven't
hers
unlocked.
is very challenging. You have to like find her out um in the world and like help her with her skill. And you gotta do all these separate things, and then she like appears some random spot.
See, yeah, because
And
you remember, Juice, like half of the characters I have are because you mentioned them or showed me pictures of them. Like I
you
didn't
haven't
know
done
because I didn't.
Nagi?
I haven't. Nagi's mission is sitting there. I've just procrastinated because I don't
It's
care.
it was one of the first missions I did that like went to a life hold piece.
Yeah, it's just me procrastinating. But like my whole thing is like half the characters I found out about were because you mentioned them to me. Like I
Hmm.
probably wouldn't have found Celica normally. Well, Murderous I found accidentally because you had mentioned her, but I didn't know where to find her, and I was like, oh. And then I think I was wandering around, and I was like, oh, there's an affinity mission.
That backstabbing bitch. That first mission.
Oh,
Hey,
that's what
hey,
it is.
hey, hey! Don't be disrespecting the
But
women.
I've grown to like her now.
I say I haven't played her second mission, so I don't know like her kind of true motives and shit. But like,
She hasn't changed a whole lot, but there is
What?
one scene that makes her a little less.
but yeah, but
What?
like that's my whole
What?
thing. Like you can go through the game and not play like half of those characters. Like
Hmm.
Hope and Fog, you kind of just run across. It's like oh, and that's only because their affinity things are just hanging out in the middle of the overworld, hanging out in the what is it the residential section. So you're like oh,
Well, you know what?
well I
Let me
guess I can do that. Although Hope's is pretty fucking sad. Her
let,
second affinity mission.
let me ask you guys a question because this is another reason why I think this game is amazing. But have you guys realized not only the variety of missions that you have, but like the moral and just like every one of the missions I come across is like something that we will actually deal with or see in our actual lives. Like, for example, the one that caught my eye the most was the one where you approach this church and this woman's not helping the aliens because like they don't believe in her God.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting here like, you won't let them drink the water. You won't serve them. You won't help them. You won't do anything until they commit to believe in the same God you believe. I said, that's BS. Like that's terrible. And then the other one where you walk in the alley. I'm sorry if there are spoilers, but also you see somebody fall from the sky.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I didn't even see that coming. It's like I didn't see any icon on my map, and I'm walking trying to just look around, and when that scene happened, it kind of scared the shit out of me. I'm like, what
Yeah.
am I supposed to do? Like, I didn't even cause that, but it's just there. And then there's the guy that like setting you up to kill people. It's like it was just crazy how all these variety of missions. It's like this is some shit you were actually running into in your day to day life, but you wouldn't think about it.
That's true. Like we've talked about this game, I mean, for 2 months now, every week on the podcast, and there's still stuff to talk about, but we're gonna move on to the next topic because that went way longer than I thought. So let's talk about Bayonetta and Corrin in Smash Brothers. Downloaded them on Thursday. Was no Wednesday. It was a little bit of a weird thing how they weren't available, and because I had my Wii U on, I downloaded them once they finally were available. But they weren't in the game because there was an update to the game which didn't boot up until I got out and got back in. So it was kind of a weird release of that DLC. But got the characters, and the most ironic thing I think possible could have happened. I jumped in to Terrell and Robert, we in 360 with me's match, and I picked Corrin and Terrell picks Bayonetta. I was just trying messing with him because I figured he'd be Corrin, and it just was so funny because you think the opposite would have happened. And of course I won with Corrin because Corrin's OP, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'm just going to give my impressions overall real quick. Bayonetta character, I mean, is just awesome. It's a good fit for the game, but her moves definitely take some adjustment to figure out what works and what doesn't. She's not like any character in the game from any character I play. She's completely unique, and it took me a minute. I just kept losing with her, and Corrin on the other hand was just like, really, this character's this good? Like I couldn't even see a fault. I blew through the single player mode like in one try. I think on 6.5 or 7 difficulty. Bayonetta, I had to put it down to like 4. So Corrin's really good though. I like her move set, or him or her, and I always use the one, the pink, or like dark pink or light purple, whatever you want to say, color scheme. Really good move set, projectile, awesome counter, the most overpowered counter in the game. Finally, someone took over Shulk for that award, and just overall, really strong character. And yeah, so I like both characters. I wish Bayonetta was maybe a little less combo focused, because even though it fits the game she comes from, it's if you don't set up that combo, then it's really hard to do good with her. So, but overall, I'm happy with both characters. How about you, Terrell?
Well, see, the problem is I have excitement for both I have excitement for Corrin, whereas Bayonetta, I wasn't like, oh my god, excited for it. If anyone saw that reaction we did, I wasn't. It's not like I hate the idea of her. I just thought it felt really un-Smash Brothers to me. Seeing her in the game, for some reason, it doesn't bother me nowhere near as much as it did when I first thought about it, and I guess maybe it's just the whole me playing and seeing her now that changed my opinion. Most people have already agreed, and it's kind of unanimous, that like she's the most technical character in the game. Like she is not a pick up and play character. If you either have two choices, you either are not good with her. I mean, you're either good with her or you're gonna get good with her, because you can't. There is no in between with her. So you're kind of like, she's just really technical. I don't think I didn't have as much of a time adjusting to her, but in comparison to Corrin, who's like fully on like powerhouse mode, it's really fucking hard. Because like Corrin, I don't think is like insanely strong, but Corrin has a lot of good tilts and a lot of good, and his counter is probably just as good as Schultz, if not better, just purely because he hits from both sides.
And up and down. I was well below and above and got KO'd.
Corrin has like a huge fucking hitbox on that counter for whatever reason.
And
he also has an up B that kills.
Yeah.
That threw me off, because I was like, wait a minute. I think me and Robert were playing before you got into the room, and I killed Robert with the up B, and I was like, oh, that's a kill move.
And the projectile, fully charged projectile, which takes like a second to charge, is a KO if you have enough damage.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially if you get that dragon teeth crap off, it's ridiculous. The dragon bite. Corrin has a lot of kill moves for a character who no one really knows about in the States because of obvious reasons. But he or she, because I'm only playing as the girl version, although I don't think Corrin is as a gender-neutral name as Robin is, but alright, fine, I'll let it alone. I like to play as the black-haired one, the dark one. I love that dragon lunge move, just because it's a very good tool to throw people off, because if you hang in the air, it's like, oh, well, I thought I was gonna hit you, and then you'll just dash out of it. And it's Corrin is way more of that. I think I would argue she's probably the best Fire Emblem character technically on a like a tier list. She's probably she's probably the best Fire Emblem character.
Well, yeah. Plus, she's the forward smash is like ridiculous reach.
Yeah, she has like the longest reach in the game. She has a ridiculous amount of kill moves.
Yeah, because like I compared her, a couple of her moves. She don't have the KO meter like Little Mac, but there's so many KO potential with regular moves. Like I was Bayonetta, and I respawned in, took a few hits. I was at 40 or 50% damage, and you and Robert were, and I don't know if we had 4 going then. Maybe Mizzah Tee was there. I'm coming down. I see you guys. I got Bayonetta. I'm due or down A. I think I'm going to come down and get some easy hits on you guys. You're all grouped together. And I'm probably well above Corrin, where, like, let's say her foot was probably still above Corrin's head. All of a sudden I hear the noise of the counter, and two people go flying, KOs, and I'm thinking I should be on the ground. And nope, here I come. I was at 50%. Here I come down. It killed me. And then I was at 60%. Did basically the same thing, but I was below Corrin, and Somebody countered somebody else's move. I was below it. Boom, 62% KO'd, flying off the. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, that's unheard of.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why one of the reasons why I say Bayonetta is such a weird. Bayonetta is also weird just in her recovery. She's the only person that when you get knocked off a stage, your first reaction should not be to jump. Your first reaction just to be automatically up B, because if you try to jump, you lose the extra up B that you get with her.
Oh yeah.
And people forget that, and because you did that like a few
I
times
didn't
in the
even know
match,
it. I didn't even know that.
and you were like, why did I? It's like, why couldn't I make it? And I was like, it's because you jumped instead of just up being.
Well, a couple of times I hit jump as I got hit and didn't realize it counted as my second jump, but I didn't know you could recover twice if you didn't double jump.
No, yeah, because that's the whole way you can do it. You up B, jump, and then up B again.
Huh? Because I just did the forward B, which gains altitude, and then the recovery.
Also, her wish time is way harder to activate than people think it is.
It's not OP like you and Robert were saying. Oh, it's broken.
Well, because I think the bat within is probably the one you'll use way more than that, and that's just because there's no way to get perfect timing on wish time. Although it is probably one of her best kill options to catch someone with wish time and then just finish it.
Sometimes you can still get hit. They're doing a move, even though they're going slow. It still hit you.
Yeah, it all depends on the move that's being thrown at you. I've noticed, like, if you use wish time on a projectile, it means like jack shit.
So, let's see if Dr. Feelgood. I don't know if he played Smash or played Bayonetta or Corrin. So.
Well, this is going to be quite short. I have not gotten to play Smash, and with that said, I have not had the chance to purchase the characters yet. I have been watching a lot of videos. I think Jay from I think it's Jay's Cafe. Shout out to him. I watched a few of his videos, and I do see Bayonetta has like some startup time with her, her smash attacks. And I have noticed some of the shit y'all are talking about with Corrin, but yeah, I haven't gotten them yet, but I will be getting them this week, and I'll probably put a few hours in if I can turn myself away from Xenoblade and Splatoon.
Yeah, it's definitely for me it's more appealing than like Cloud was. So Bayonetta and Corrin both make me want to play the game more. Cloud was like twice I think we played, and then it was just back to X. So it was unfortunate timing I think on Cloud's part, the release of that character. But so yeah, I think Corrin just for the beginning, like when everybody was kind of at the same spot, but still, Corrin was just the outright favorite. Just easy to use, just getting KOs. Like I won almost every time I played as Corrin. Bayonetta, on the other hand, and Terrell was loving to laugh at me the whole time, the whole night. I was losing every match, like 4th place or 3rd place if there was only 3 of us. I was out first every time. I just couldn't figure out her moves. I got better though, and I finally won twice with her, and I posted one highlight reel on my YouTube channel. So, but yeah, I think that's enough on that. I just wanted to take Smash 4 as a whole now that all the DLC's out, and just get your guys' thoughts on the game compared to like Nintendo's other major titles. Especially the Wii U ones like Mario Kart and well, we haven't had Zelda yet, but there are other big titles. And then how do you feel Smash 4 was handled, all the DLC, just how's your feelings on the game as a whole, and where do you think it falls in the Nintendo's history as far as their games that they've released, because for me it's climbing the charts quite a bit. They put like the effort they put into this game, the characters we have, it's just unheard of to be playing. At one match we were Cloud versus Bayonetta versus like Ryu, I think, and it was just like, it's just amazing. So we'll start with Dr. Feelgood. Just you don't have the DLC characters. How do you feel about Smash 4, just in general, and from an effort from Nintendo and how they've handled the rollout of DLC and everything?
Even though my playtime may not coincide with my response to your question, I would say I think they handled it very well. To me, Smash was probably the most, what's the word I'm looking for, ambitious fighting game ever released. And people may still say it's not a fighting game, it is. But you think about the amount of characters, and not just the amount of characters, but the variety of characters, play styles, and just the different franchises involved. It's great. And when it comes to DLC, I think it's still great. Now, I think it pales in comparison to, say, Mario Kart 8, because with that, we got a little over half a game for basically $12.
Yeah, that's two characters in Smash.
Yeah, so it's like, and that's part of the reason why I haven't purchased any of the DLC with Smash, because I don't think the price is horrible. I just don't think it's great, and especially since before that you spoiled us with Mario Kart by giving us half a game for $12. And I will always ask myself, like, so why is the price of one character in Smash, or if you want to be, technical, one character, a stage, and a BGM track, why is that half the cost of 8 tracks in Mario Kart? I mean, that I never did like, and I'm like you, Terminator Juice. I'm not paying for skins. That's just not my thing.
Hmm.
If they're included, that's great. But even if they were 20 cents a piece, I just never would pay for them because it takes very little to nothing to incorporate that. That's like playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo and just switching out the color, reused gis, like karate gis. Like that's something that should be in there. But I think the DLC was handled well, not as great as past efforts such as Mario Kart 8, but even still a lot better than what you see most third parties do nowadays.
Yeah, because I think now if you like wanted to buy just all the characters,
It's like $43 for just the characters.
Yeah,
I
it
thought I
is.
saw 30, but
No,
Well, that's
what
still way too much for what you're
what?
saying.
Well, no, I think it's like 30. I think it's like 35,
no, right
30.
now you can. There's a bundle that's just all the characters. If you let's say you just bought the game, you didn't have Mewtwo, Lucas, Ryu, all the characters. I think there was like a really good bundle deal, but
Yeah, no, no, but the bundle was actually still the exact price of the characters if you would add them up. I think you saved like maybe 7 cents.
oh, okay.
I'm so serious, but I checked it out because I was doing research the day of the Bayonetta and Corrin DLC release, and it said if you want to buy just all the characters, it would be $43. You want it for both platforms. If you
Hmm.
wanted just for one platform, it was like 37 or $38.
All right.
And
Yeah,
I
I
was,
think.
so it's not worthwhile to get it for one. You may as well just get it for both.
Well, that's why I got all mine for both. I didn't even care at that point.
I wish I would have got. I didn't know I was gonna like corn as much. I wish I would have paid that extra dollar. But I'm glad you brought up the price because I do feel, and I got an echo going on. Somebody mute their mic.
Ain't me.
All right, I mute mine just in
Yeah.
case.
See if it goes away. Let's see. Yeah, it's gone. So it stayed muted till I'm done here.
It's like shut
Just
up.
stay muted the whole show. Just um. No, I think the pricing was a little high, and I definitely it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The costumes for the Meek fighters because especially the ones that are in amiibo form, like Samus and Link and all those that never sat well with me. I'll never support it. And they wanted $5 for the Mii costumes for this current release, so that had the Knuckles and I forget all the ones, but I'm like the Mii fighters are lame anyway, in my opinion. Not a lot of people use them. I think they're really overpowered because basically they can just put like all the best moves into one character if you
Oh, I
want.
didn't tell you what happened that night, actually. I think it was before you got on. Me and Robert were playing a few matches. And
Yeah.
Robert was like, oh, man, the stage roster looks so weird. It looks like a warp pipe. I was like, it looks like a perfect square to me. He goes, wait a minute, do you have a Mii fighter? I go, oh, shit, I hadn't even made a Mii fighter on the game until Robert pointed it out. I was like, oh, I probably should go do that.
Yeah, it's they're not to me. I hope they're not in the next game, but some people like them. Twilight Bites, he seems to like them. Red Knight uses them, but anyway, the pricing of the DLC wasn't great, but I just bought the characters I wanted, and I don't feel like it was a ridiculously overpriced. I just think if you're going to charge $5 for the single version and 6 for if you buy it for both, then make it $4. Make it $3 for one and 6 or 5 for both or something. You know, it's almost pointless just to buy it for one system when it's only $1 more if you have the 3DS version, obviously. So I think there's a little bit pricey there, but the fact that the characters came in, it's fairly well balanced. Even though I think Corrin needs some tweaks. All the balancing with what 50 characters now, I gotta give them credit, and there must have been a lot of work that went into it. So I don't feel too bad about buying, three characters. I think I did. Four, maybe. Oh, I got Roy, even though I never use him.
Well, you know
Um,
what though? If I could say this, sorry to interrupt, but why couldn't they make it to where the Mii costumes could be unlocked with the appropriate amiibo?
that's what I said. Well, that's fine. That should have been there. Like Samus, Link, like those should have been tied to amiibos. But yeah, obviously Knuckles and there was what Virtua Fighter ones. There's all kinds of weird ones now that don't have amiibos. But I think like the Samus costume, because Samus is in the freaking game too. It made no sense to have to pay for Samus costume. The Mega Man costumes for all the Mega Mans, it was like $1.50. And to me, that is the one blemish in this game. But other than that, I think Smash 4 is lining up to be one of the greatest Nintendo games they've ever made, as far as just overall polish. And I mean, it's a fighting game, so it's not in the same level of like a Zelda, like the best Zelda game for me. But just as far as the whole package, all these characters, all the third-party characters, all the deals they had to make, the way they, released the character reveals with like awesome CGI or animated shorts. It's just everything about this game was top AAA, and it's one of the, it's not the greatest, but it's definitely top 10, I think, greatest achievements in Nintendo's history for gaming. I think it's, further years down the road, it might be looked back even higher. So I think it's quite the accomplishment, and it's on a failed console, which makes it, I don't know, better or worse depending on your perspective. But to me, it's just another notch in the Wii U's belt for an amazing game, and Nintendo really outdid themselves, I think, with this, and Mario Kart 8, I think, was right there with it. So, Terrell, what's your thoughts?
So I don't know how I'm supposed to top that. God damn. Really, because I had to sit down and really think about it. I don't, in terms of favorite Smash game, just off the top, just through character roster, I already know is the best. In terms of gameplay, yeah, probably. See, see, my problem is that I got in my history with Smash. I didn't play the original. I got into it in Melee, and although I love Melee to death, I wasn't ever like, oh my god, Melee. If anything, I put more hours in the Brawl. And so when I got this one, this has probably been the Smash game I played the least amount of single player stuff for. But it's probably been the most fun I've had with a Smash game, period. Because back when I remember the days when you had the Smash Dojo site up for Brawl, and every night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you checked it to see what new update it was, because Sakurai was updating it daily, pretty much what he was doing with the Miiverse posts for this generation Smash. But you didn't have the cool CGI trailers and the Nintendo Directs and the fan reaction. Like, this has felt like the most community-oriented Smash, and it's so much better for it. Like the entire what was it, about a year and a half worth of excitement just through all the characters until the game was released, and then the DLC hype, and it just kept coming after wave after wave after wave, and finally, almost over a year later, it's finally done with the Bayonetta and Corrin stuff, and it was so good. It's so good. And then if we're gonna make the argument out DLC pricing, it's not when you compare it to Mario Kart 8, it's almost disgustingly like worse And it's not like it's bad for fighting game standards. I mean, granted, when you think about it, how many the game had like what 40 something fighters before DLC. And Smash Brothers has always been a game to me personally that I would sit there and go, the game was worth more than $60 from jump.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost every, I would say every game from like Melee. Yeah, from Melee and forward, almost every Smash game has been worth more than the asking price. Because Brawl, same thing, and Smash 4, the same thing. These games were already worth more than $60 to begin with. So if anything, I would argue that my whole reasoning for buying all the stages and the characters and buying the Mii costumes, because for one, as I've stated before, I've never used the Mii's, and I used it in the 3DS. I never used it in the Wii U version. Hell, you got me to buy the same game twice on 2 different consoles. I'm not the biggest fan of the DLC, but the way I justify it is I'm finally paying the real price Smash Brothers has always been worth. Because Smash Brothers to me has always been like a game that's worth like $100. Because it lasts like years. And Melee, for a game that came out back in the GameCube generation,
2002, I think.
Yeah, it has lasted over a decade, and people are like, "Oh, it's $50." Like, are you kidding me? And Smash, and this version of Smash will probably be the version of Smash for like the next at least five or 6 years. Because I would argue it's an immortalized game at this point.
And where
it
do
feels
they go?
Like that's what it's going for.
Where do they go from here as far as character roster? I wouldn't want them to be at like 60, 70 characters, but unless they could do that effectively and keep it balanced, because there's going to be, you got Inklings, you're going to have a Xenoblade Chronicles X character probably in the next game, another more Fire Emblem characters.
Well, it all depends.
I think the only place they really can go, and this may sound negative to the fans, but the one thing I have never liked about Smash, like, you know how you play a game, and, like, let's say a fighting game or a beat 'em up, and your favorite character is almost perfect, and we always say to ourselves or in our head, like, man, this character was only a little bit faster. They were only like, if they only had a little more of this, a little more of that, they'd be perfect. And of course, we all want that for our preferred character. Well, in Smash, I feel Sakurai tried to achieve that, which is why we have so many doubles, and hell, even triples. I mean, like in Brawl, we had Wolf, we have Fox, and we had Falco. Now, people will say, well, they're vastly different in some ways, but one thing I can say I never have liked too much, although Falco was my favorite character in Melee and Brawl, is that I don't like all the doubles. Like, I think Lucina is a complete Marth clone with a one difference in characteristic, maybe a difference in weight as well.
Yeah, they probably should have just got rid of Marth and had Lucina.
Just like I think Dr. Mario was a waste of space. Mm-hmm. I like the character. I play as a character even, but if I think about all the clones in this game, Dr. Mario is like Mario with a few different properties. It's like, so if you don't like Mario's fireball physics, pick Dr. Mario. And that's basically about it. And to me, Luigi's been more of a clone to Mario than anyone else, but he's different more so than Dr. Mario is. So I would say lower the roster, get rid of all the clones, and let people deal with characters the way the way you designed them. Stop bringing them back in a different form, on a different skin. Say, well, here's Lucina. She plays like Marth, same identical attacks, but her Dolphin Splash goes a little bit higher.
Well, no, Lucina's difference isn't even that. Lucina's difference is horrible. Lucina's main difference is that she doesn't have Tipper on her sword and that she's shorter. That's literally it. Those are her two main differences. She literally has the same properties as Marth does.
I know that. I'm just saying, but I just don't want to have any more clone characters with 1 or 2 different changes that are
minute. I don't mind because
you don't mind because you got to remember the way Sakurai always explained it is that the clone characters weren't taking up a spot. They were just like, well, we have the free time and this won't be too hard to do. Just go ahead and do it.
Sucking up. Like, if you prefer, like, I'll never play Marth now that Lucina's in the game.
I've never played Marth.
There might be somebody that's never going to play Lucina because they like Marth, and it doesn't hurt to have them there because they don't have to do. It's basically like now Marth has 16 costume variations instead of 8, and Mario has 16 costume variations because Dr. Mario. So that don't bug me, but I do want to, since you brought it up, I was going to ask everybody to give maybe a negative because there's no perfect games out there. So what would you find to be a negative for Smash Brothers 4? And maybe they could fix it in the next game, but that's not the important part. Just anything that maybe you feel isn't up to snuff for this game, if you have one.
My only,
I was gonna say Feel Good. I don't know if yours is the doubles clone characters or if you had something else.
Yeah, mine would be the doubles. That's pretty much like my only negative with Smash. Of course, there are little small negatives that pop up here and there, but my biggest one is, instead of Lucina, we could have got shit. I don't know. I'll just throw some out there. We could have got Vector Man or
Yeah, but that would
whatever.
have been too
Yeah.
much work, though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it would be a lot of work. I understand that another extra character with a whole moveset, it takes months. It's not just a skin swap. But as I said, that would be my only negative. Is that it was just too many clones. I don't think there's too many Fire Emblem characters. But yeah, and I will also like, and this may sound, fanboyish, but I will also like. I want to see more third-party characters, but not just useless ones. Like, don't let Smash 5 have Dan and Vicky from Street Fighter. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Although entertaining, don't do that. I think Ryu will be enough. If you want, bring in Chun-Li, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope there. I feel they did a pretty good job with the ones they did add. But Terrell, do you have anything?
Yeah, my only thing is I kind of wish I wish he had kept the subspace emissary. I wish he took that and expanded upon it because it's literally the only thing from Brawl that people want back. And it was because it was like a cool mashup, and he just needs to fix some of the problems it had. Like, for example, the fact that for whatever reason, Subspace Emissary had very little theming from anything from Smash Brothers. Like, the biggest problem with Subspace Emissary and Brawl was that it felt way too detached, considering it's in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only thing that really felt Nintendo-ish about that was the bosses, because all the bosses were like, Porky from Mother, and Rayquaza from Pokemon, and Ridley from Metroid. But like the enemies you fought in most of those stages, and the stage design was just kind of like, eh. And I know why he didn't do it. He didn't do it because of the whole cutscene thing. And granted, I do like the cutscene way, but I don't feel like you could have. I would have rather have done that as a single player than do the Smash tourney shit. Not tourney, the tour. Smash Tour, and I know what he was trying to do, but yeah. So to me personally, that's like my only issue.
But Terrell, you're forgetting one thing though. Subspace Emissary, ironically, was the one thing that people said they didn't want to come back. When it came to Smash 4, most people say they didn't want to come back.
They wanted the one from Melee.
Yeah, and now that they didn't bring it back, it's like, oh, now we want that back. It's like, well, you bastards got done complaining about you didn't want it.
Well, it's that in Adventure Mode for Melee, because Adventure Mode for Melee was pretty legit, just because of how weird it was. I feel like you could have did a combination of both, in my opinion. But
yeah,
I kind of wish he'd expanded on at least one, or if not Subspace, at least the one from Melee, because that's probably the biggest issue I have with Smash 4 is probably just it feels like that single player content, although it's still packing. I just don't care as much as I used to, and that's just because the modes, the Smash Wii U specific. I mean, crazy orders and crazy hand orders and master orders are pretty fun. Those are pretty fun, actually. I don't mind those. And I just wish we got stuff like Break the Targets back and Adventure Mode and Subspace, stuff like that. But that's like my biggest issues actually with the single player, ironically.
All right, so basically, I don't really have a gripe about the game itself. My biggest gripe is got to be the way people play, especially in the For Glory
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that.
So for me, that's just something you can't get away from. You got an online game. You're going to have people playing like douchebags, doing anything, to win. And there's a mechanics in the game. Everybody knows that. People that have been following me. Dr. Feelgood, can you mute your mic, please?
Okay.
Can you not see the chat? All right. Anyway, I'm having trouble talking and hearing myself echoing, so I'm trying to let him know off there, but he didn't get it. So anyway, losing track of thought. They got the mechanic that everybody that's been following me knows I don't like, which is the grab mechanic. And you got these diehard, hardcore, pro wannabe fighters and all the four glory matches. Basically, the grab is like if it's like it's not overpowered because I guess if you're good enough you can avoid it, but it's the go-to move for a lot of people, and it just frustrates me because I thought this was a fighting game. There's all these other moves, but everyone just wants to grab, and that to me is a big turnoff. It feels like it's part of the game now, like you couldn't take it away. But for me, it just feels, as someone who came into Smash 4 kind of new and not hardly have played the previous games a whole lot, to me it still feels out of place with the rest of the game. Yeah, you got to have a counter to the block, but I think the only time you should be able to grab is when someone's blocking. But that's just me. So it's just kind of the way people play. Grabs aside, you're in for glory, and people just play like the biggest douchebags in the world. And to me, that's the biggest flaw. But that's a flaw with any online game, any online fighter, especially Call of Duty. Just same way, you got people camping and playing like Dr. Feelgood, camping in the corners and just not playing the way that if people could all see you and you had to like justify, like if everyone was on camera or something and it was a serious event, people wouldn't be playing the way that they play when it's almost like trolls on the internet. And there's trolls in online gaming, so basically that's the biggest flaw. And the lag, with the lack of Ethernet port on the Wii U, a lot of people do the Wi-Fi and they have weak signals and you get a lot of lag. So that would be pretty much the only weakness for me. And then there's a lot of unnecessary modes in the game that I never touch. So I think they put a lot of effort into those, making there's so many things to do in the game, but then it seems like most people don't even play them. So I don't know. It'd be sucky, I guess, to not have them, but also they're very unnecessary, in my opinion. So that's going to be it for that. Let's move on to the guy who isn't here, Mizzah Tee. I was hoping he'd be here. We were going to discuss his latest video, but we can do that without him. And if he's, maybe next week if he's got something to add. But basically what he said was Metroid, the current what do you want to call it, level design or game structure, needs to evolve or change if it wants to be a mainstream popular title. Like he kept saying, it's not what he wanted to change and it's not what he hopes changes, but in order for Metroid to be mainstream, like a Halo, like a Call of Duty, like a Star Wars Battlefront, they're going to have to do a Star Wars Battlefront and just kind of take away what made Metroid and just make it this casual mass appeal type game. I agree that that's what would need to happen for Metroid to be a huge multi-million seller around the world, especially in Europe, but that would basically, for me, that would kill the series for me. So I don't know your guys' history with Metroid, but do you feel that Mizzah Tee's right? And I'll get into some specific points he made, but let's just start there. So
I'll go first. My history of Metroid is pretty bad. My first Metroid game I ever played / beaten was Other M. Although I don't hate Other M, but that also could be because what most people would consider I haven't played a good Metroid game yet. Personally, I feel like that is something. I feel like I don't have the right to really make a true claim on it, but if I had to go based off my current opinion of Metroid, people always seem to look forward to when Mario switches it up or when Zelda switches it up. I don't see why Metroid, because I've noticed every time I hear about Metroid specifically, no one ever wants anything new from Metroid. It's always Prime 4. It's always another Prime game. Like when people talk about Metroid specifically, it's always a sequel. when it comes to Mario, I mean, yeah, they talked about Galaxy, but before that, I mean, I've also heard Sunshine,
Two.
yeah, Sunshine 2.
Sunshine.
Listen, it's a yeah, I spent a
Sunshine.
lot. Listen,
Oh,
English,
Vertigo. Sunshine.
English is not the best language right now for me, but that's besides the point. But like, I've heard people want sequels for other game franchises. I mean, not sequels, but like different. They don't mind different gameplay styles. For Metroid, it's always been prime or
Well,
bust.
there's a reason for that.
Well, I understand that, but to
Prime
me
is
that
basically game design perfection. There's like the only change would be for the sake of change, not to for
well,
improvements.
I mean, most people would say that about Mario Galaxy too. I mean, most people do say that about Mario Galaxy. It's like you can't make a better Mario game, and that's one of the reasons why 3D World was so. Even though it was a good game, it's not really viewed to a lot of people as
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
mainstream
I
Mario
think
game.
3D World was just as good, but that's a separate argument.
But like that's my whole thing. Like I feel like there's nothing wrong with Metroid going a different route and still being
Except
Metroid.
for it
What?
becomes like Metroid's, even though people get bad if Sam is saying it, Metroid is like a genre basically. You know the Metroidvania.
Yeah.
That's a Metroidvania game. Like it's a genre that was created, and they switched it to 3D, and that genre worked even better in 3D. And even games like Rise of the Tomb Raider now are using that style. But like Mizzah Tee said, Rise of the Tomb Raider ain't like lighting the charts on fire, and so he was thinking maybe there's too much Metroid in there, too much of the backtracking, the gaining new abilities to gain access to new areas. It's not 100% open world, but it really kind of is. Metroid Prime, you could go wherever you had access to, you could go anywhere at any time, and that's the charm of Metroid. So for me, you put Samus in something like a first-person linear game, and it loses what makes it Metroid. So it's just a Samus game, a game with Samus and an action game. So, Dr. Feelgood, I don't know your history on Metroid. I probably should have asked you guys before the podcast if you two are the right guys to have this discussion with, but
Probably
hopefully
not.
hopefully
Oh,
hopefully
what? No,
Feelgood's played Metroid.
no, it's fine. I will admit that I'm not the most diehard Metroid fan. I have played a number of their games, and I do enjoy them. I enjoy the backtracking aspect. There are times it can be a little tedious, but I would say this, and this is pretty much across the board when it comes to gaming. Metroid can change. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with change. We've seen many of our favorite franchises employ, changes that were for the better. Mario went from 2D to 3D, and I think Galaxy was probably the best Mario of all time, even better than 64 in my opinion. That doesn't change the fact that I also love 3D World, but it's just a different argument. But with Metroid, although I do agree with T, they will have to change to be a more mainstream game to sell millions of copies and appeal to everyone. I don't want it to change because I don't want it to go mainstream. That may sound selfish, but here's the reason why. Mainstream games are basically sex. You get in there, you enjoy yourself for a few minutes, and after that, you're ready to move on to the next game. I mean, that's how I feel. Like you're ready to move on that quickly. It's like people pick up Call of Duty and play it, and they may invest hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into that game. But then that's all they want to play for the most part. Metroid is a game that you'll play today. You'll love it. You'll probably fly through the game or take your time, whatever your play style is. And a year from now, you come back and play it again because you love the story, you love the atmosphere, you love the type of game that it is. And then a year from then, or 10 years later, you'll come back and play the game. It is a memorable, unique experience. Even Red Knight in one of his podcasts said that he plays like Metroid Prime like once a year. He goes back through the game.
Hmm.
But I cannot sit here and say that, man, you know what? I want to go back and play the story of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 again. I don't.
And
I,
that's one of
I
the few games that had an interesting arcing like story with different paths. But
Exactly. That game I probably would, but it's like for other Call of Duty, it's like no. I have Modern Warfare 1, 2, Black Ops 1, 2. I have like six of their games. But after I beat the main story, I'm pretty much done with the campaign aspect of that game. But Splatoon, I have gone back and went through the story. My wife has done it twice. So it's something about that you can't get anywhere else. So I don't want it to be mainstream because I want it to remain unique. I want it to be a game that I can go back to 10 years from now and still enjoy because of that unique aspect of it. You make it mainstream, you basically make it a game where it appeals to everyone for a month and then people forget about it.
Yeah, you make it a flash in the pan type experience where.
Well, I was gonna make an argument. I was gonna actually ironically use Fire Emblem because Fire Emblem is a good example of why having it change wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, for those who don't know, because I didn't find this out until after I got really into Awakening, Awakening by the hardcore Fire Emblem community is considered like a very mediocre game. Like Awakening, people love Awakening's mechanics, but people are like, that's not Awakening. I mean, that's not Fire Emblem at its core. Like most people would still say Ike's games, the Wii, Radiant Dawn, and Path of Radiance are probably still some of the best Fire Emblem experiences you can have. And Fates is obviously trying to take a balanced approach by having Birthright be the Awakening style gameplay, whereas Conquest is more traditional Fire Emblem.
Oh, that's right. People were mad because of the casual mode that they added.
Like people don't, and that's my whole thing. Maybe have Metroid have a side series that's more mainstream while having its main series still be the same could work just as well. Like you could still have your traditional Metroid, but have a mainstream version of it to appeal to the greater audience. Because to me, what would you rather have? A franchise that they never put out because they know it doesn't sell well, or would you rather have one that, yeah, you'll have a homogenized version, but you'll also have a version, but it'll keep the franchise rolling? Because really, Samus is on, and granted, people got to realize that Samus hasn't gone as long as like Captain Falcon has without a game. But you got to switch up. I mean, even Star Fox is the same thing. It's like Star Fox, they didn't know what to do with it for a while. And yeah, people were, oh, it had games though, and yeah, but like none of them were Nintendo made. And Metroid is even worse because Metroid hasn't had a Nintendo made game since what? Like,
well, the director of the Prime series was one of the Nintendo, like, he's a Nintendo guy, like Japanese.
Yeah, I get you, but you know what I mean.
The development studio was in America, but the guy in charge and Miyamoto was involved. I mean, it was a very Japanese developments, you know.
I understand, but you get what I'm saying. I'm saying like there hasn't been an internally made one without some type of Western help. Ironically enough, the franchises that are struggling the most in Nintendo's pool of IPs are all franchises that haven't had really the best Nintendo specifically made experience. Because F-Zero, the last few games were made by like Sega. I think Sega did the last one, the one on the GameCube. Star Fox, the same problem. And Metroid hasn't been since like what, the first one, I think? Maybe
Super Metroid.
Yeah, Super Metroid, that's what it was.
But the same guy.
I mean, so my whole thing is that I don't think there's a problem with having a mainstream version of Metroid. But for whatever reason, Metroid seems to be that one franchise people are like, do not change ever. And I'm like,
well, if they did it, they'd have to do like a Zero Suit Samus. Like you put Samus in the various suit in a game, it ain't Metroid anymore.
What doesn't do Zero Suit Samus work just as well? Because Zero Suit Samus could actually be way more stealth based.
Yeah, they could make a different type of game. But just to talk about Fire Emblem real quick, well, I played Awakening, and then I went back and played the old Game Boy Advance games, and they play identically. There's no difference in the combat or strategy. It's the same. It felt like I was playing the same game with lesser graphics. Like, there's no difference. The hardcores complain about the easy mode, which Steel Fox can attest to. He won't play it because of the casual mode where characters won't die. That's an option. It's completely optional.
You telling me he won't play the game in general because of that feature?
Mm-hmm. He is he's just very weird about that kind of stuff.
So why does he play Xenoblade? Xenoblade has an option that if you die too many times on a boss, you can fucking lower the difficulty. Like,
anyway, that's a whole separate thing. But Fire Emblem plays identically. The Game Boy Advance game plays identically to Awakenings. It's identical gameplay. Like except it doesn't tell you which sword, which is an option. I had it turned on. It doesn't tell you which weapon's best against which weapon. You have to figure that out. it doesn't tell you before the battle how many. Like I played on casual because I'm new to the series. So, but the raw game, the true core gameplay felt like I was playing the same game. It was like, why would I want to play this? It's playing just the same. It's just a different story. I mean, so
And
just to
I
get
I
to
agree with
the
that.
point, it'd be like Metroid Prime to Super Metroid is the same general idea, just done in a 3D world, which changes the gameplay more than you'd think. But it still felt like the accomplishment was that this feels 100% like Metroid, and everybody was worried this isn't going to be Metroid because 3D, and the game felt 100% Metroid. They captured everything, the essence of Metroid, in a 3D game, and made one of the greatest video games of all time. So that's why people are really harping on, keep it the same. You got to keep the mechanics somewhat recognizable. Just like you said, Fire Emblem, the mechanics are almost identical, even 10 years later.
Well,
And
because that kind of gets into my point. I'm not saying when I say change it up, I don't necessarily mean. I mean kind of like what Other M tried to do. Because Other M, for the amount of shit Other M gets, I think like Other M's biggest problem was the fucking controller. The
yeah,
fact
that's
that was like one of the biggest problems with that game. I don't feel like Other M was so far away from Metroid that people say it was. Now, granted, I understand they took liberties and there were problems. A lot of people's biggest issues are with the story
mhm.
and the problems with that. But my whole thing is that at the core of it all, that still looked and felt like a Metro game, except for like I think a lot of the biggest people's issues were the lack of isolation because you knew there were people around, and I think the exploration wasn't considered as deep, and a few
Well, yeah,
other.
it was
There was
2D-ish with a 3D environment, but you moved in a 2D plane, which I don't have a problem with that. Like if they're gonna do a 2D game,
well, I had a problem with it because it was stupid when you had to
but the
move something and
controls, the
you had an
the
analog.
the controls are the reason I never played it. Even though I have the game sealed, I got it for like $7. I'd never could bring myself to play it because moving in a 3D environment with a D-pad with two buttons, like no, I'm sorry.
But like
That's
that gets into my whole point is that like that would to me doing something like Other M but better would be like a good enough change for me personally. Like I feel like that would be a better attempt at making because I mean Fire Emblem was the same thing. Yeah, I mean, the core gameplay is still the same, but but most people would tell you there are vast differences between Awakening and like some of the older ones, particularly in just level design. Fire Emblem Awakening's biggest problem, a lot of people from what I've seen and heard, is that there is no sense of replayability for like Fire Emblem Awakening's level design. Like, and I will agree after playing the game 3 or 4 times, I realized that there aren't really any particular strategies you got to really employ for most of those maps. It's just you kind of just play. You either choose to play cautiously or throw yourself into the wind. And Fire Emblem is a strategy game, so it's kind of weird that like half of the strategy in Awakening is kind of thrown out the window because half of it's the terrain and the other half is the actual like weapon triangle and that was people's issues with Awakening. It was like it felt like too easy of a Fire Emblem game considering Fire Emblem is a franchise known for being hard as hell, and I know Metroid isn't known for being like super easy either. That's like my whole thing. You don't have to when I say change it, I don't mean like completely change the gameplay style, but just make it feel modern because the games that are considered hard as hell are the ones that like have a very low appeal. Like another franchise I could bring up that isn't Nintendo, but there's the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. When you hear about Shin Megami Tensei, most people think of Persona before they think of the original Shin Megami Tensei games. And why is that? Because Shin Megami Tensei, just like Fire Emblem, is known for being hard as hell, versus Persona, which is like the most casual. It's not casual, but it's way more casual than Shin Megami Tensei is. Like I just think you don't need to. It wouldn't. I don't feel like you would lose Metroid by taking Other M as a basis.
well. Let's get into this though. Like
Go ahead.
Mizzah Tee talked about some of the changes, making feel like you're not just isolated, like basically making it like a Halo game where you're surrounded by soldiers with the chatter, and that's probably the best part of Halo 1 for me was all the chatter with the the other Spartan soldiers were just saying funny things, and it was like you're part of a team. Like he thought that would help. God, I should have rewatched. I forget what his other point was. That
I think that probably worked better if they were like fellow bounty hunters and they were like all different types of aliens. I think it'd be cooler that way. I mean, I don't
oh
mind the Federation stuff, but I kind of like the alien. I like the more of the alien stuff with Metroid than I do the human
yeah,
characters.
because he thought maybe more humanoid characters. Well, I disagree. I think just to wrap this segment up, I honestly believe if you're going to take Metroid and you want to make it mainstream, you got to put a yellow arrow on the screen. I mean, seriously, you have to make it easy mode because not the problem, but part of Metroid is discovery, doing things on your own, scanning the environment, finding the story through scanning things, and you got a new. Okay, you get the ice upgrade to your blaster. I forget. For some reason, it escaped me what. Oh, ice beam. Sorry. You have to remember where did you see a door with a white shield on it that can access with your ice beam now, and you had to remember that. And if you didn't in 15 minutes, if you had the advice or tip thing turned on, it would eventually say, "Hey, incoming beacon. Check out this area." It would guide you. But gamers today, they want to know where to go immediately at all times. Look at Far Cry, even Tomb Raider. Now it's not always on your screen. You have to hit the, um, depending on which game, it's like the left bumper in one game, it's the right thumbstick click in the new game, and it kind of shows you your beacon of where you need to go. Now that can be done, and Tomb Raider's done well, completely optional. You can wander around. There's a lot of things you can do other than just go straight to the point. But I think a lot of these gamers, they want that straightforward, linear. Star Wars Battlefront sells like what 7 million on PS4, and then the die-hard fans say it's trash, and they took away everything that was good about Battlefront, and now they just made a point A to B linear experience, 40-minute single-player mode, and basically Battlefield with Star Wars visual, aesthetic. Now, if you take Metroid and you make it all right more linear, make it an Uncharted, add cinematics, go to point A to point B, make it thrilling, put a lot of effort into voice acting and all that, yeah, that could end up being something that's mainstream. Then give it an online multiplayer like Halo or Call of Duty and really focus in on that. Yeah, they could take that Metroid name and make it a big thing, but also you're going to lose a lot of your diehard fans, and if it doesn't work, then what are you left with? Like if it doesn't take off and you did all these things, then I think you're left. I mean, yeah, it could be a success, but it also could not be. So I would be worried if they changed it too much, that they lose their fans and it doesn't really take off. So I don't know. If Mizzah Tee would have been here, I think I would have liked to get his opinion on some of the ideas that I was thinking, but maybe I'll save that. Do a part 2 of this discussion when we get Mizzah Tee back. Dr. Feelgood, you got anything you want to say before we
Oh,
move
well, I
on?
was going to add on to what Terrell said earlier about, at least having a mainstream aspect to it. And I do agree, but at the same time, Nintendo's done that, and the fans rejected it. To me, Federation Force is a mainstream Metroid game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can see that.
I mean, if you think about like the aspects of the game, what they focused on in that game, it's a mainstream version of Metroid, and
basically, yeah.
now they put it on a more mainstream platform. I mean, we're talking about comparing 14 million to nearly 60 million. So if you think about that, they have made a branch off of the core Metroid franchise and made a more mainstream Metroid game, but now the fans are just pissed because Samus is no longer the main character and that it doesn't focus on her. It's like, okay, but this is what some people want. They're just trying this out. If people want Metroid to be more mainstream, here's your chance. If it works out, maybe we'll get one of these on a console one day and Samus will be the main character. But this is their way of saying, okay, Here's Metroid a little bit different because doing the franchise the core way that we have been doing, although people, always applaud and give all the praise to the Metroid Prime franchise, it didn't sell that well. It didn't sell like it did sell over 1 million, but it didn't sell even Tomb Raider numbers. It didn't. For being a flawless game, I think it sold what 3 million copies.
Have 2.5 or something on the GameCube or
Yeah,
two.
something like
Yeah.
that. It didn't sell that well, and so it's like you guys are crying about getting a game keeping the core part, but guess what? You were probably one of the people that did not even buy the first one. So no use in crying now. They're trying something different because that game, that perfect game, although it made money for them, it didn't hurt them. It does not justify them focusing on it because it did not do well like your Mario Kart Wii did, which is probably approaching 40 million copies right now. Game is selling more than Michael Jackson's Thriller album. I mean, come on.
And that had, I mean, from my perspective, that had minimal effort and almost no improvements over the previous version.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
limited by the hardware jump being minuscule, but still, they didn't put their top effort into that game, and I mean, still sold well. But before, I don't want to lose my track thought here. You brought up Metroid Federation Force, and you said, yeah, they made it mainstream. Yeah, they made it four-player co-op experience, which, like I said, let's wait and see on the game. But the fact that it's four-player co-op almost guarantees I'm not buying the game. Like to me, I don't like online multiplayer focused games. Like I like Splatoon. I put a lot of hours into it, but it to me like I moved on. Like just like with Call of Duty, those games don't hold as much of my attention as an awesome single player experience. So the fact that Metroid Prime Federation Force is a co-op game makes it so I have almost zero interest in the game, even if they changed the visual style and made some people happy. If it doesn't have an extensive single player experience, if it's just CPU version of, and AI versions of the human characters, like four-player squad or whatever with AI characters, I'm not interested in that game. So, and it's funny because it is a mainstream attempt at Metroid, yet it's rejected by everyone equally, just about the diehard Metroid fans and just any Nintendo fans or any fans of gaming rejected it based on its visuals, which is leading us perfectly into our next topic, which is are gamers too shallow in this day and age? And I think that's a perfect example. Um, Nintendo needs to embrace online. Nintendo needs to get with modern times. They come out with a four-player co-op experience with what has it got? The blast ball, and they said there was going to be some kind of single player. And people focus only on the visuals. And what does it have? 40,000 down votes or thumbs down on the that E3 trailer
I think
on
so.
YouTube. So all because of graphics, but it has everything else people have been saying they want Nintendo to do, but because of the visuals. So I wanted to just get your guys' take on gamers these days, especially the younger gamers, the quote unquote hardcore, aka casual Call of Duty gamers. Um,
Well, I was gonna say, and this actually kind of branches out from you left out the last topic. As you said, gamers wanted more online compatible games from Nintendo, and Federation Force is one of them. But there's one that just came out recently that I've heard that has a little backlash, and it's another big franchise that they tried to make
oh,
mainstream.
Triforce Heroes?
Triforce Heroes.
Exactly.
They took that game, gave it online play, online co-op, and some people do like it, but a lot of people don't. And what they're bitching about is that it's not Zelda. It's like, well, you've been bitching because Zelda's not a core, not a mainstream game. Zelda's actually a niche title. It sells well on Nintendo, but it's a niche title. And now they made it mainstream for you, and they tested it out on a 3DS game, and look at the backlash.
Yeah,
So
and
I think it's just safe to say that people say what they think will be cool until they get their hands on it. Like, well, what the hell is Nintendo thinking? They were actually considering what the hell you've been bitching about for the last 5 years.
I honestly believe 3D World would have been like Triforce Heroes if it had been an online co-op experience and taken
People
away.
still want that game to have online co-op.
Like that would to make an online co-op Mario game, they'd have to completely take away the single player like level design or level structure. It would just be because like I keep saying, I was on like World 6 and Steel Fox was on World 2 and Mizzah Tee was on World 3 and it's like, oh, hey guys, come play World 6 with me, or oh, I'll go back and play these levels I already played. Like there's no way they would have to completely rethink the structure of a Mario game to have online co-op, and basically it would be like a Triforce Heroes game where they would take away the things that make basically what people love Zelda for. To make a co-op experience, they had to change it completely because you can't just have a story mode Zelda game with where people can come in online. It wouldn't work because everyone would be in different spots. So to make it an online co-op game, they had to basically strip it away and make this puzzle-solving, like shallow experience of a Zelda game. And it didn't sell well. People didn't talk about it, and it's pretty much faded into oblivion. And I think that's a separate issue because I was thinking more about how gamers focus too much on the pretty things, the hype. Like Star Wars Battlefront, how well that sold. Grand Theft Auto 5 sold just amazing off of basic gameplay. Not a lot of depth to the gameplay. The controls are bad, so I want to focus more on the shallowness of gamers who not just they say one thing and then they don't support it, which is a whole separate issue. I want to talk specifically about the hyped game, how easily they get hyped up. They'll buy a game based on hype. They'll buy a game based on graphics, and it seems like that is the focus of a lot of these. The majority, I would say, of gamers, the 35 million PS4 owners, maybe 30 of those 35 are Call of Duty casual type players. So I wanted to direct it more into that side of it, and not think that
Okay.
I think Triforce Heroes is a whole separate issue with people asking for one thing and then still not being pleased. So, Terrell, you got anything?
Yeah, well, I had a few things actually. Just my quick thoughts on the Triforce Heroes thing is that I think that's partially just due to Nintendo trying to appeal to a market of gamer who really don't play, who really like. To me, the people who are asking for a multiplayer Zelda was like a very small minority. Like, why do you think people didn't bitch about Pokemon when it started getting online? Because people wanted online for Pokemon. Splatoon, that being a new IP, I feel like certain games people are cool with. That's why people wanted in Star Fox. Zelda has never been a franchise that it ever made sense to have a multiplayer game to. Well, even for that, an online multiplayer game. That's what I mean to say. Because, and you can kind of tell Triforce Heroes was trying to be a Four Swords sequel, but that, as you said, that was a completely different issue. As far as gamers being shallow, I kind of blame that on last gen. Last gen really wanted to push the quote-unquote cinematic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we got games that were good, like some of the games in the Uncharted series, particularly 2, and games like The Last of Us, that were able to mix story and gameplay together. And then you got games like Beyond Two Souls, and I don't mind Heavy Rain, but I'll probably would throw Heavy Rain in the same boat, where you got these cinematic experiences, but they really didn't do too much in terms of games. And so people started equating good games with good graphics. So if you were only getting one of those, and for some reason at some point in time, it just became good graphics equals good game. Like, and that mentality got worse and worse the better and better the graphics got. Look at the beginning of the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era to like the end of it. It's still the same era, but the quality in games are almost vastly different. That's partially due to because PlayStation didn't have shit out for like the first year, 2 years of the games of the console even being around. But that's besides the point. The cinematic feel became more and more of the standard as the generation went on, and with more and more games going for that particular feel, it became oversaturated. Like that's all if you turn left, there's a cinematic game. You turn right, a cinematic game. And so like people just started equating cinematics with good gameplay, and that's how they've been groomed to think. Even though this generation is currently showing us that means jack shit. There's only like a few games that still prove that, and none of them are even like game of the generation worthy right now. Like the best game that shows off a good cinematic experience, well, according to the populace, would be something like Until Dawn, which I don't personally think is really worth a damn, but apparently everybody seems to love to death. Or maybe, actually, yeah, that's the only game.
I think
Everything else,
the Order 1886 wanted to be that.
I know, but yeah, but that's not a good game. That's why I see.
Well, that was another thing with the shallowness. Even though it had the amazing visuals, as soon as a couple people started trashing it for its length, and that hype, the negative hype surrounding that game, killed the game off. And that's, again, they're not judging it on playing the game. They're not judging it on what they think. It's what they hear. And especially with Nintendo games, I mean, shit, I ran into a guy I hadn't seen in a few years, big Xbox guy. We used to play Call of Duty together, and he was like, what, the Wii U? Like, he's not even sure what it was. I heard that system was garbage, and like that was just fact to him. And it's like people they don't care about the true gameplay is king like
Well,
mentality
that's
that
also
the
because
dinosaurs have, like this a lot of Nintendo fans have. And it's like, but with the Order 1886, because the hype was this game's trash, it's 5 hours long, it's boring, even with the pretty visuals, it's still, and justified, I think, from everything I've heard and read and seen, it's justified, but still, that's one example where the graphics and the cinematic experience got overtaken by the hype, and the popular trendy thing was to hate on that game. Still sold like 1 million copies, but barely 1 million. So it's like, it's almost like the trends are whatever people are saying is what's the popular thing. And it's like the NX right now, like it's trending, so everybody wants to talk about it and talk about leaks and stuff, but they don't care about what the actual console and games are going to be. They just want to talk about the hype of it. And it's like, I don't know, it just seems like they don't care about the real thing.
it's all about aesthetics. It has nothing to do with substance. That's really
Yeah,
what it boils down
that's a good way
to.
to put it. It's like
Well, I
eating.
don't think it's that. What I think it is, and I think today's gamer, which started this whole thing, is that today's gamer, we're incredibly lazy. And I
Yeah.
say that not to, and for many aspects. One, we don't want to unlock things anymore. We want to pay for them. Like it's that simple. They want to pay for stuff instead of having to play through the game to unlock it. Like if you think about games back in like the fourth gen, fifth gen, like the best part about the game, and probably the only cinematics you ever saw, was when you put the game in and you saw the opening scene before it got to the start screen.
Hmm.
And then it went to games would incorporate cinematic cutscenes or FMVs if you got to a certain aspect. But basically, you're earning that cutscene because you have to play through the game or the story, or you know, achieve a certain level of completion before you saw that. Well, now that technology is pretty much, gaming is kind of with technology. It's kind of like, well, wow, I can get this stuff anytime, and people just want to get it right now. They don't want to get it later. They want everything right now. We live in a world of microwave gamers. They want a hell of a lot for very little effort.
Hmm.
Period.
It's
That's
true.
it, that's all it is. And to me, that's why we have a shallow gamer. People didn't buy the PlayStation 4 because, and I don't mean to drag this out, just because of the games that were coming for it. They bought the PlayStation 4 based on what the hell it could do because what someone said in a damn, press conference. Oh, it can do this, and that, all while you play your games. That's great. But isn't this a game console? Tell
Yeah.
me about the game's experiences. Like, what about that? And I think Shadow Fox pointed this out in a podcast. Shout out to him. He said, whenever you hear about these quote unquote AAA, big budget titles with the cinematic experiences, all you see in these magazines and from the media is the first thing you see is, visually impressive.
Hmm.
That's it. You don't hear, a once in a lifetime experience. You don't hear, exciting gameplay. It just says visually impressive.
Best looking game
You,
ever.
yeah, well, one of
Yeah.
the best looking games ever, best game this gen, true next gen, looking title. Like you never see anything that actually, points to the gameplay experience. And because it, like you say, it's very, very shallow. People are lazy. They want things now. They want things simple. They want to be able to pick up and play, not have to learn. Call of Duty, as much as I used to love the franchise, and I do mean that used to, I realized quickly that it's not going to change. To me, they should have had environmental destruction back in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It hasn't changed. And what have they added in the last 6 years? A bunch of damn moving fish when you get close to them.
They didn't add a whole lot. So we're getting a little long here. We got some questions, but the game idea guy, Andre, what's up? This relates to what we're talking about. Someone asked. He asked, "Do you think people just need to shut up and play games?" And I say absolutely yes.
I say yes, but that's not going to happen. Because shutting up doesn't get you views.
Yeah, that's true. I do wish more people would buy and play more games and spend less time worrying about other things, but that's not the world we live in today. So yeah, I mean, great discussion. I think we need to have a part two on this shallow gamer discussion. I I think I need to give it some more thought, bring in some more guests, and get a. It could be a whole podcast. I'm just thinking. I don't want to take it any further out right now because I think there's a whole podcast revolving around this subject. Maybe do a weekend special or something. But so let's get on to the questions. Not a whole lot, but there's a few good ones here. So I'm going to ask. We'll start. Dr. Feelgood. This is from Rebound King. What character reveal for Smash 5 would make you have a fanboy meltdown?
Wow. To be completely honest, and I hadn't even played this game in a while, but I will have a meltdown. If they announce Earthworm Jim, it's over.
What, you're not going to say Captain Cuttlefish?
No, honestly, I wouldn't even say the Inkless. I love Splatoon, but to me, when it came to the Smash ballot, the character I requested the most, and this may be embarrassing or stupid to some, but I requested Earthworm Jim and Vector Man because I thought they were two characters that really did fit the franchise and the aesthetics and the gameplay. They really did. So if one of those two characters ends up in Smash 5, I'm buying it.
I'm going to say answer to that is uh, Bayonetta. Like, I can't think of anything better. Maybe Jean from Bayonetta. To me, there's not a character left to get me to fanboy out and have a meltdown. They already have all the dream characters for me in there. I would be excited for
What
you
about
know,
Elma?
Elma would be awesome, but as far as fanboy meltdown, she's already in the game. So I know Terrell's got one, and mine. I mean, she would be awesome. She would be awesome, but it wouldn't be a meltdown experience since I only played the one game.
Well, actually, good news about that, Juice. Apparently, we're getting the Wii U port of the second game pretty soon because
Oh yeah.
they already sent it to Nintendo of America for approval. So
And any word on Half Genie Hero? Or?
yeah, they're almost finished with the pre-alpha stages. They've done almost every. They're working on the final two chapters of the game, and then they'll go ahead and do the alpha, and then have the beta ready, and they'll be going through all that. So that should be done. I don't know when that probably won't be done.
So we might as well say the character in case people are wondering.
It's Shantae. Shantae, I would argue she's my favorite indie character at this point. I have no qualms about that whatsoever. I love her games. The only game I don't care for is the first game, and that's just because to me it's archaic as fuck and kind of cryptic. But that character would have me on the floor. I would literally end up on the floor by the end of that reveal trailer. I'd be like, I can't move. Don't. It's why is the video going for an extra 10 minutes? Because it took me 10 minutes to recover. I'm fucking done, man. That's it. I literally can't think of any other character in. No, that's it. Shantae's the only character I need. I mean, granted, you got some fan favorites like Simon Belmont and stuff like that, but Shantae's it. that's my be all end all. That's the one that had me dead. I'll be dead after that.
Yeah, I think Elmo would be pretty awesome, but I don't think I wouldn't describe it as a fanboy meltdown, really. I think Bayonetta was that for me. So, uh, Tony Corran, I'm not gonna get into the NX talk, so he has a couple questions featuring that, but he asked, when is the last time Corrin ever visited Foot Locker?
See, I would have a better joke for it if the damn game he came from was out yet.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Well,
When
the
is
thing
it?
is, they're appealing to that foot fetish side of,
Well, they're building to a lot of fetishes, and
yeah, and that
let's
was,
be honest here. There's fucking maids running around. I don't know what the fuck. I ain't got nothing else to say. There were maids running around, girls in tight ass like warrior bikinis, bro. Like FaZe doesn't give a fuck, man. FaZe is like, listen, we know what you play Fire Emblem Awakening for. You wanted them waifus, niggas.
hmm
We gonna give you some waifus, all types of waifus.
All right, so then he asks a question now that Corrin and Bayonetta are in final DLC characters in Smash. Do you think that one, if not both, of them are in the top 10 fighters in the game? I think Corrin, as far as just power and ease of use, Corrin's definitely in the top 10. Like I would put Corrin to a new player, I would say Corrin would be like one of the three I would suggest them starting with. Seems to be pretty easy to use. Bayonetta, once somebody gets really good with her, I think she could be amazing, but definitely not in top 10 right now.
I'm trying to think. Top 10. I wouldn't put Corrin. I wouldn't say neither of them are in top 10. I think Corrin's like mid. I think Corrin, as of now, would probably be at least high mid tier, but that's about it. And Bayonetta, although could be high tier because of her technicalness, I would say her and Corrin are actually pretty even. I think they're both about the same in terms of abilities. It's just that Bayonetta's harder to use.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rebound King. Dr. Feelgood, I'll have you answer this. Do you think the controller bundled with Pokken is for people who cried to have a standard controller? That's a good question.
Um, Maybe. I'm not sure. I've seen the controller, and to me, it's not that much different from a pro controller,
It's
except
not
it's
a
just
standard controller either. It's just D-pad and what?
Yeah,
yeah,
Or
it's basically a
took
pro
away
controller.
the analog
It's
sticks.
basically a pro controller without the analog sticks. And I'm just like,
Does it have shoulder buttons?
Yeah,
yes, it
shoulder
does.
Yeah.
buttons.
It looks like an odd shape, and the button layout looks a little off to me.
It's like basically all
Yeah.
they did is make a Super Nintendo controller for the Wii U. I'm like, but you had a classic controller you could have used and got the same effect.
The Pro controller would be absolutely fine.
Well, no,
I think
the
they made a
difference is
deal.
that this controller is wired. That's the main difference.
Yeah, but the gamepad's too wide for people. Why is it okay for the Pokken pad?
I mean,
But
and on top
Well,
of that,
no,
why didn't you just go ahead and this? I'm hoping they're going to do this. It would be smart if you made a GameCube adapter and controller, wire controller for the Wii U. Why you just would make this game compatible with that?
I don't
I
know
don't know.
why either. I feel like, well, it's because for one, they're trying to make it a simplistic fighter. You can already tell just through the controller that Poken's supposed to be like a noob-friendly fighter. Kind of what people view DOA as, actually, because DOA is not considered a hardcore fighter either, even though
But
it's been around since like the PlayStation 2 era.
you know what's going to happen now? Just
What?
how Smash was intended to be a casual fighter, and then people made it competitive. Poken's going to be a casual fighting game, basically a casual Tekken game, and people are going to make it a very competitive and wish for the competitive techniques, and that's going to ruin it. But that's another conversation.
Wow.
yeah, I think
Well, that's why I'll play it in the beginning, and then I'll probably drop it later on, just due to the ridiculousness. Also, I'm still needing some variation in my roster. Damn it, I get it. We don't need to use all the fan favorite Pokemon. Give me some more Chandelure types.
there's
All right,
not a lot of characters.
there's
But
like 20 right now,
let me ask
maybe.
the question because I'm not following this game.
Yeah,
The controller, what is it? A USB wired controller?
I guess.
Yeah, because it's for tournaments, it's got to be wired. But what's the price with the controller? Because I think it's more about just Hori. I think is Hori makes it.
Yeah, Ori.
Yeah, I think it's about them just making a deal with Nintendo. I don't think it's. I was joking when I said it was like it wasn't a good question in the fact that I don't think it was really the reason. I think it was interesting to bring that up though in this question, but I think it's just they wanted to sell peripheral, and I don't know what the bundle's going to cost, but
Oh wow. Quick kind of side note, but apparently game trailers is closing down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
haven't
that's
watched them in over a year.
yeah. Apparently that's happening like today.
Hmm. Bummer for
Okay,
them.
that's a very random thing. I went on Twitter. I was like, what? Okay, that's
Random
random.
thoughts by Terrell.
Wait, what do you
So,
mean? I wasn't expecting it. That's what threw me off.
Tony Corrin, he asked what our thoughts were on Shantae Risky's Revenge director's cut coming to the Wii U.
Well,
I
see,
don't.
well,
This
there we
is
go. That's the game I was talking
the
about.
first time I heard about it was 5 minutes ago when Terrell said it. So I don't know anything about it. Is it gonna get like any kind of improvement visually, or is it gonna be like a
It'll
straight
be,
port?
if it's anything like the Steam version, you'll get prettier HD pictures, and some of the stages will be rebalanced because the original that came out on the DSi had a big annoying fuck. I wouldn't say it's a difficulty spike, but it felt like the game really wanted to remind you that, oh yeah, by the way, you better be upgrading your side items, because if you're not, you're gonna die, and that's that's exactly what happened. So
So
it's some gameplay improvements, but like better visuals for the pictures.
it was on the DSi.
Yeah, that's Risky's Revenge came out back. The first game was Game Boy Color, second game was DSi, and the third game was 3DS and Wii U.
Okay.
And I
So
think Xbox and PlayStation are getting Pirates Curse this year too.
I'd probably play Risky's Revenge. Depends on when it comes out. But anyway, and the game idea guy Andre, he says that you might want to watch his other M video or us if we haven't done so. I haven't checked that out. Why it would be great for the Wii U, he says. It'd be interesting because like I said, I've never played the game, but I think analog controls would have
Yo, dude,
enticed a lot more people.
you don't even know that fucking game. That game, and I don't hate it
And then you
as
gotta turn the
playing,
controller to go to first person. Like how awkward is
and you
that?
can't move in that
Yeah.
remote mode.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I wanna wrap this up because it's getting close to 9. So I got a show I watch at 9 o'clock. So we're gonna wrap this up quick.
Okay.
Um, but let's go to final thoughts. So we'll start with Dr. Feelgood. First time on the Juice is Loose. So
How
any
to feel to
final
get your
thoughts?
cherry pop, man.
Yeah, we popped it. That sounded wrong.
Yeah, I don't think I would have thought
I
you
hope your
were
wife's
on
okay
podcast.
with. I hope your wife's not gonna be mad at us for popping your cherry, but. So, you got any final thoughts pertaining to our discussion?
No, not at all. Just, to hell with the shallow gamers, man. Just to hell with them.
Yeah, do what I do. I've been unsubbing and unfollowing a lot of people in the last 2 months. So
Yeah, I finally did it today. Like I was trying to give the person, I was trying to stick in there with them, but
I've been there. I've tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, hung with them, and then at some point you just got to cut the the umbilical and say I'm done. And trust me, life's a lot better. So
yeah, so
anyway,
I did that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I've been like you, I've been blocking people left and right. So yeah, but that's it.
you got a slogan?
Keep it
No.
gaming. That's all
All
I
right.
have to say. And be sure to tune in to the OGL on Saturdays.
All right. How about you, Terrell? Any final words of wisdom?
Um, Side note, for those who are curious, there is a game that's coming out on the eShop this Thursday. It's a game that's actually I've kind of been looking towards this game because I know a lot of people, a lot of PlayStation fans, and have already had their port of the game, but we're finally getting Oddworld New and Tasty, which is like a remake. Yeah, it's pretty much like a remake or a remastering
It's a
of
remake.
a remake. Okay, a remake of the PlayStation 1 game, I think is what
Mhm.
it was. And they were like, "Oh, we finally finished it. It's coming out this Thursday." I said, "All right, fine, fuck it, I'll try it." Because I've heard a lot about all the BS that happened with Microsoft, which is why that game franchise will never come back to Microsoft platforms. And this is the first time Nintendo owners are getting a chance to try it out. So if anyone's curious, that comes out this Thursday. Good podcast all around, and as I always say, life's a game, play to win.
All right. Yeah, this was a great discussion. Like I said, I want to do a little more, go a little more in depth into the shallow gamer. I did a state of gaming, like 2-part podcast. I don't know, it's been 2 years now, a year and a half, something like that. So it might be time to get back into that discussion. I want to get Rob from Rule of Two on. He's been saying he might be free on Mondays if things worked out. So it'd be cool to get some different perspectives and different personalities on for a big discussion like that. So, but I want to thank my guests, Terrell and Dr. Feelgood, for joining. And I also want to announce that we had the highest live view total ever for the Juices Loose podcast. So it's been a little bit down lately, it seems like. People have been watching less and less, but so I just want to, it was Dr. Feelgood. It was all him, man. He brought in like doubled the amount of our viewership. So people tuning in for Dr. Feelgood apparently.
Well, hey, maybe sometime in the near future you'll visit the OGL, man, and let loose.
Definitely.
I want to hear how you really feel about some of the gamers out there.
Oh Lord!
All right, with that though, like I said, I want to thank the viewers, and didn't get to every question and comment there, but I feel it was a good discussion, and I'd like to, like I said, get back into that bigger, broader discussion on the state of gaming right now. So maybe we'll do that. Yeah, we just jumped up to like the actual, just almost doubled the number I just said. So I didn't say it, but almost 50 live viewers right now. So congratulations to us, I guess. Like that's more than double like the normal high views I get. So sorry you guys all tuned in right at the end here. We're about to shut down, and I had a great podcast. So check out the replay on YouTube in about an hour or so. And we talked. We hit some good points, and I thought it was a great discussion. So hopefully next week we can equal it or surpass it. So we'll talk to everybody next week.
And play on the fools.